Too bad I didn't start the recording for that. It was a great joke.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, the audience will forever wonder what they missed out on because it's such a great humorous thing. A great introduction was had by all. Hello and welcome to One Storyteller is the name of this. And here we are. We're in chapter 3 of The Two Towers, second part. The Black Gate is closed. Do you like this chapter?
I mean, yeah. It's
That was a long time to get to that answer.
it's not quite as there's not quite as much going on as in some other ones.
No.
This is literally the hobbits turning a corner.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This one and also the next one, because at this point I have read ahead for the next chapter as well. And
Okay.
the next chapter also nothing really happens.
Yeah.
There's
Well, until like the end.
there's one thing that happens in the end, but it's like okay, so I have very little in
Chapter
terms.
4 does have a bit more character stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good things in this chapter too, um, but it's fine for what it is. But there's not as much going on as in Taming of Smeagol or even the passage through the marshes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's both of well, this one is primarily it's a travel chapter where um, they're observing the Black Gate of Mordor and
Yeah.
debating walking in, ultimately not walking up to it, and then they leave,
Yeah.
and that's the whole chapter. So it's crazy. It's been a week since I've read this, so I can't even really remember what all happens in this. Um, there's a lot about how the land here is not good, and there's a lot of like random observational things that happen, but I feel like the characters don't talk all too much, except for when Frodo reprimands Gollum and is very, very rude about it, which based.
Yeah, I think that might be the first thing to talk about.
Well, I mean, that's halfway through the chapter. We have to build up to it.
I mean, okay.
The slow burn of Tolkien's writing, which I was so happy about in chapter 2, because he wasn't being overly explanatory. And then chapter 3 and 4 come along, and he's being overly explanatory. So
You don't
I'm
like the history of the Black Gate?
I like the history of it. I feel like there's a lot more in especially the next chapter is where I noticed it the most in the
Interesting.
chapter 4 is just a lot of like descriptions of the land around them. Um, that is literally let's name off every tree, but we'll get to that next time when we
Okay,
do the next
okay.
chapter. Um,
Well,
yeah, for this you get so the opening of the chapter is like ashes and dust. There are mountains. Everything is bad.
mhm.
Everything is terrible. Mordor is this. It's kind of described as a land that is separated from the good land with a wall of mountains and like a couple of towers from
Yes.
Gondor. So it's like a land cut off from I guess time or happiness or good people or just kind of everything. It's its own
Yeah,
little
yeah.
area. Um, Crazy to think one day a volcano happened and suddenly the whole land turned to Mordor.
Every opportunity
What
this
a
guy
crazy
has to
thing!
reference the Rings of Power.
It's it's so good. How,
No.
how could you forget the?
Oh my goodness.
How could you forget just the screen zooming out and it had the Southlands on it, and then it changed the text to be
That
Mordor.
was that was uncommonly
Oh,
cringe.
it was wild. I don't know. Even with as bad of a story as it was, that was just a terrible aesthetic
Yeah.
choice to make. It is interesting to see some of the history of this, though, because the mountains are like a geographical boundary
Indeed.
that I guess Sauron just took over the realm, that area. The towers are Gondorian, or I guess would they be Numenorian in origin?
At this point, it would be Gondor, but when they're not very removed from their Numenorian heritage.
Okay. Where, because they were built after Isildur did his thing, right? They were built under Isildur's watch. Is that how it was?
This would have been, yeah, that's
After the
after
overthrow of
after
Sauron.
Isildur. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be right, I believe.
Okay. So these are not. It's not like Orthanc, which was the Numenorian thing that the Ents couldn't hurt and Gandalf wouldn't be able to break into or anything like that. It's just really well constructed human stuff.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. There are two of these, and basically the idea was they were supposed to keep watch on Sauron and make sure nothing super terrible came out of Mordor, I think, or
Yep.
happened in Mordor. But it talks about how eventually, over the generations, as nothing really happened, good people decided to sleep and failed to keep watch, and so Sauron ends up taking it over, which
Yeah.
is not a great situation.
It's interesting how that parallels, what we saw in the Fellowship of the Ring,
Mm-hmm.
like with Gandalf having his level of complacency, and even Elrond.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
here, these people didn't keep the watch they ought to have, and now these things that ought to have kept Sauron uh, trapped away are things he can use himself.
mm-hmm. Yeah. When the good does not stay present, when it
Yeah.
when it decides to settle and rest on its laurels, as it were, um, it's not just that evil can creep in and do its own thing. It's that evil can creep in and take what used to be good and corrupt it and use it for itself,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I've been preaching through the Sermon on the Mount, and you've heard that it was said, here are all these old ways of doing things, but you've missed the real point the whole time. It's people who've rested on their traditions of don't murder and don't lie and don't make an oath or whatever it is, or you know keep your oaths, but only the ones that are super important. It's people who have rested and become lazy with those things, and so they've missed the real point of it. And evil creeps in and wears the mask of something that's nice, but it is itself corrupt. And so Sauron takes on the Gondorian towers. It's a little bit of a picture of that.
I think so.
So that's cool. And then there's like nothing else until until Frodo talks to Gollum. Let's see.
Yeah.
They're not far from Mount Doom, so it's like as the crow flies, very close to the end of the journey. But as the Hobbit walks, not very close to the end of the journey. And so you have that kind of a conflict between those two competing ideas. Sam is not sure about their chances of going forward. Gollum is very sure they can't go forward. Frodo is determined he's going to go forward, and then most of the chapter is just Frodo determining that he's going to go forward, but not through the Black Gate because that's a stupid idea.
Yes.
I feel like that is, yeah. That's basically the first
Yeah. When you
chunk.
zoom out, that is what's going on.
Yeah.
It's interesting seeing some of the specifics here,
Mm-hmm.
like especially in light of the the debate Gollum and Smeagol had at the end of last chapter.
Yes.
Um, Gollum says, "What? I didn't know you wanted to go into Mordor," which may be true, but it's right on the line, and he's doing other things that are pretty suspicious, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like even if you didn't know he's going into it, why? It's not like he's touring the Black Gate for fun. Like
Yeah.
you can draw a really clear conclusion. So definitely sus if we had to peg a word on it. It is interesting to me because Sam here is very. Sam was witness to Gollum's conversation with himself, or like
Yeah.
however that works. The personalities of Gollum chatting inside of him. So Sam is very aware of Gollum's evil, but either I don't know if it's he can't voice it to Frodo or he doesn't voice it to Frodo. I feel like he should probably say something to Frodo about what he just heard. And I don't know if it's like the cultural disconnect between master and servant kind of relationship, or if it's just Gollum is around and so Sam can't pull Frodo aside and talk to him. But I feel like Frodo could make a better decision if Sam told him the conversation he heard.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think there's a couple things that immediately leap to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Is for us knowing the whole scope of things and maybe also being a bit smarter than Sam.
And also knowing
It's
the
pretty
ending. I mean,
yeah.
that doesn't
It's
hurt.
pretty easy. It's easy to tell what Gollum is thinking about
Mm-hmm.
in that debate. For Sam, some of that would have been possible to make heads or tails out of, and what he could is like, me and Frodo already know about this.
Just in
That
terms of
might be
like,
it.
this is a bad, like, he's not a good guy.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's
I think that
fair enough, I
that
guess.
simple explanation might be enough,
Mm-hmm.
but there might be something to him feeling like he can't quite tell Frodo this, or maybe that the Gollum is just around all the time,
Yeah.
and he feels, and he mentioned at the end of the last chapter, he felt like he shouldn't mention this when Gollum's around. It might, activate some
He's
overt villainy.
he's a sleeper cell inside of himself. Kind of mildly
That's sort of
terrifying.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So
So
there,
overall, I think it's reasonable that we don't see Sam say anything about this.
yeah, there's a little conversation next chapter where Sam says, he's still a bad guy, by the way, and he doesn't actually go further than that, even though Gollum is away at the time, and so maybe it
Hmm.
is just Sam doesn't have any concrete information, and so he can't provide anything to Frodo. But
Yeah,
a little odd to me, but
yeah. It's
understandable.
the rest of the book, and like what we've seen before, what we'll continue to see makes me certain it's not as though there's any distrust between Sam and Frodo on
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. At the very most, I would think it would be just a class distinction of like, well, I'm not able to give advice to this guy. He's the one in charge or whatever it is. But
yeah,
I don't know that that's there. As your phone goes off in the background, I hope that
yeah. We,
gave
we got
some
it on
more
mute now.
shame. Mine's not on mute. It's just on vibrate. So if you hear a very large buzzing sound, that's what it was. Um, so you have that. They're sitting around, and as they're waiting and thinking, these is it Easterlings who show up first? Are they called
That's a
Easterlings, or is it just me? They're out of the wide Eastlands, gathering to the summons of their overlord.
let's see. Are you jumping ahead there yet, or
Oh,
already?
I mean, there's basically what happens is Frodo starts thinking, and then Frodo is thinking for half of this chapter, and so the Easterlings show up. A different other group shows up, and it's only then that Gollum starts to actually talk to Frodo after a warning
Oh,
on
that's
page
right.
276. Yeah, it's a long and extended process. Frodo does show he manifests the trait of not wanting to make a decision immediately, and they get to bear witness to a few things in the meantime.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm with you now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is Easterlings, I believe.
As I'm thinking about it, because the Easterlings do show up in the movie,
Hmm.
I think they show up from the west.
They come up a south road in the movie.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're from the east, but they have wrapped around south and then west. Because because the camera would be in the north behind Frodo and Sam, and it's pointing the gates on the south, and the Easterlings come up from the right, which would be the west. But they could come up from a southern road, I guess, and wrap around, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. Okay. My
yeah,
movies
yeah.
are still intact. That's good.
Yeah, no, they did do that right.
That's good. That would be a really weird thing to not get right. So I was confused there for a second. Okay, so they show up. Basically, it's just a picture. Sauron is expanding his forces by getting a bunch of friends. We'll see that again in future chapters, I assume, because he will pull on all these evil forces from all these different areas. Um, and it's here. It's kind of seeing that there are a bunch of forces right outside the gate. It's not just enemies on
Yeah,
the gate. It's
Frodo realizes
20 feet
there's no way
away.
we can get through. Yeah.
Yeah, it's we can't get through, and we can't sit here anymore because this is way out in the open. We need to move. And so here Frodo starts to make a decision. What do you think about Frodo's choice?
I've said before, Frodo is so excellent. In this situation, he's correct in what he articulates. He says, "I'll trust you once more, Smeagol. It seems that I have to."
Yeah.
He is later going to be seen that he's very suspicious of Smeagol, and it's something that he said in the first chapter, Taming of Smeagol. But I don't know if there's any other. He keeps talking about fate, and he shares now Gandalf and Aragorn's belief in divine providence here. So that's part of his decision too,
Yeah.
and also related and somewhat different. Again, his back is up against a wall. Smeagol says he knows a way. What other option does he have? Um, there's so many different factors here. It's fascinating to me. There's all of that. He's also trying to extend grace to Smeagol as he relates to him more and more being under the power of the ring. But he also is not being what Sam is afraid of, which is just a rug for Smeagol. Very far from it, I think.
Well, he doesn't really. I think what's impressed most through the conversation he has here is, as much as he is trying to be nice to Gollum, he's not really that nice to Gollum. Like, he knows that Gollum's not that great. He knows that he's really messed up, and so
he's being gracious, but not nice.
I guess you could make that distinction. He does threaten him.
Yeah,
Like, you are in danger. It's not that we're in danger. It's that you're in danger. You're making really bad decisions right now.
yeah. He
Um,
just calls him out like that.
so there's a little bit of threat there, and it's the first time Gollum is really afraid of them or afraid of him.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes.
I think
Um,
is it later in this chapter that Frodo has to threaten him, or is it was that last chapter?
there was something like that last chapter.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, because this is that same kind of thing.
it is. Yeah.
For some reason, I have written in my notes, Gollum is a bit freaked out, but eventually, and then I just forgot to write the rest of that notes. I don't know what that meant.
Oh no. There is Gollum being in a pitiable state,
Yes,
like last chapter again.
certainly.
One thing I think is fascinating is when Frodo says, "But I warn you, Smeagol, you're in danger," and Gollum. To me, there's always this tension: is Gollum like pretending to himself, or is he just lying to Frodo and Sam? I think at this point he's leaning a lot more toward deception toward Frodo and Sam.
Hmm.
Although I think there's probably always a little bit of overlap with this sorry fellow.
Yeah.
He says, "Yeah, you're right. We're all in grave danger, but I'm brave. I'm going to be here for you," is basically what he says. And Frodo's like, "Nah, that's not what I meant," like you were saying. Because one of the things Smeagol said when Frodo first mentioned going through the Black Gate, he's like, "Don't do that. Like, if you're going to do that, give it the ring to me, so Sauron doesn't get it, and you can go on like you want to." Um, which is crazy that he just says that openly. But Frodo calls him out. He says, "You're trying to get the ring back, and you should realize it has twisted you and hurt you, and that to ask for that is showing just how careless you're being,
Mhm.
essentially." And then there's the threat: "You'll never get it back. If I put on the ring and used it, I could make you throw yourself into the fire of doom, hypothetically, you know?
Hmm.
And it's what I would
He's
command if you betrayed me." So yeah, Frodo he's being harsh as well.
mhm.
But
Yeah.
it's impressive to Sam, and it shows that Sam has some maturing to do because he didn't think Frodo could extend grace to Smeagol while also reprimanding and having caution.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And it's
it's
instructive for Smeagol too, because Smeagol also mistook Frodo's grace for softness.
mhm. Yeah. Frodo is not as unaware as anyone expects him to be, which is
Yeah.
good. And
Mhm.
that's been very consistent through the whole book, I think, or through
Yeah.
both books at this point, because that was true in Fellowship as well. He knew what he was getting into, even when everybody else didn't. There was
Yeah.
always he was very aware of it, even when the other hobbits weren't, or whatever else was going on. So it is cool. I like that Sam is now convinced that Frodo is the smartest guy in the world, which is kind of ridiculous, but at least he can. Sam is not so blind to Frodo's wisdom that he just kind of discounts it, right? Because
Yeah.
there can be a tendency to say, oh, this guy's being nice, not judging very wisely, and so I'm going to let him be nice. Like, he can be the nice guy, but he's not. He's a dumb guy, right? And he
Mhm.
just kind of discounts him. But when he hears Frodo's actual statement, he's willing to hear him out and say, actually, yeah, that's a really good take, and I appreciate that about Sam, having that kind of openness.
That's right. That's right.
So, um, this is, yes, Gollum is a bit freaked out, but
He
something
does
eventually calms down and moves on is probably what I meant to write, or something along
well.
those
He
lines.
eventually does tell them about the alternate route, but
Yeah,
he really does take his time.
yeah,
And I think he feels nervous about presenting this plan now that Frodo has threatened him.
yeah. Yeah, because it's if he were to reveal the whole plan, as we know, not as the hobbits know, the Frodos, not as the hobbits know at the moment, but if he were to reveal what's actually going on, none of this is going to be a good idea. But how do you tell that story in a way that is truthful enough to be legitimate, but not truthful enough to show what you're trying to do? I guess
Yep.
is the way. Um,
It's a tough spot to be in.
Yes. So we have a Gollum lore drop in this chapter. First,
Yes. What do we see?
uh, it's the Gollum lore drop. It's my favorite part. Um, he tells basically. So from what I gather about this, Sauron doesn't like Gondor. I feel like that's a given at this point.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
just to be clear, there were old fortresses of Gondor that were built, and then as Gondor backed off of those, Sauron came in and took them over, which is the setting for Shadow of Mordor, a fantastic video game, by the way. It's a great game. I love it. It's not true to the story, but I love it anyway. I don't really care.
Hey, fair enough.
Um, it as Gondor's power waned in Mordor and in keeping watch over those things, Sauron took those over. So he does have two watchtowers, the teeth, or like the fangs of Mordor, or whatever they're called, on the
Hmm.
mountains outside the Black Gate. Is the I guess the Black Gate is probably not constructed by Gondor, but I don't know.
I I had thought it was, but on this most recent reading, I don't think it was.
Yeah, so that's just something he strung up by himself.
Yeah, I think Peter Jackson takes the view that it was made by Gondor, opens out the wrong way. Oh, we froze for a second.
Just a second. Yeah. Uh, it came clear enough. I think people know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but I think the way Tolkien presented the lore at the beginning of the chapter makes it sound like there were Gondorian fortresses, but the Black Gate is Sauron constructed.
Yeah, yeah. There are at least those two, I guess, towers. Are they fortresses or just towers, or are they the same thing?
Um,
I don't know. I don't really care.
Probably some overlap there.
There's
But
also there are other fortresses throughout, right?
yeah, yeah,
So Minas Morgul now is one of those, or I'm sure there are some other ones.
yeah.
Basically, if I understand it, there is also a tower that's kind of overlooking the secret pass into Mordor.
Yes, Cirith Ungol.
That one. Is Cirith Ungol the tower or the pass? Just that
It's
region?
the tower, and the pass is the pass of Cirith Ungol.
Incredible. Thank you. Um, yes. Tolkien's naming scheme comes back into play. Um, yeah, so you have basically an old Gondorian tower that was overlooking the main way into Mordor, a couple of those, and you have an old Gondorian tower that was looking over the sideway into Mordor, or out of it, I suppose. And the what will ultimately be Shelob's lair is a path through. It's like around that same area, but it doesn't go straight through the pass. If I gathered it right.
I think the tunnel is part of the pass.
Okay. Okay. So you go through the tunnel and then you hit open ground, which is in front of the tower.
Yeah.
But you should go that way because somewhere Gollum appeals to that. It's a lot sneakier and he won't expect it, which was what they were trying to do all the way back in since the
Like from the
beginning of the
beginning.
book.
Yeah.
So I guess Gollum too read Fellowship of the Ring and was up to date so that he could manipulate Frodo here.
Yeah.
So Gollum says, I can lead you through that secret tunnel, and you can go through that way instead of going straight through the Orc Fortress, and maybe that's going to work out better for you than just knocking on the Black Gate and hoping Sauron lets you through to destroy his ring.
Mm-hmm.
Anything I missed there in the in that summary?
I don't think so. Maybe just there's a little aside about our timeline. There's a mention that Aragorn and Gandalf are standing before Isengard, talking to Saruman
Oh
while they're
yeah,
talking to Smeagol here.
yeah. Where is that? Oh, it's right after.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is yes. They are knocking on the gate of Saruman at the moment.
That they almost knocked on the Black Gate.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It was. It's basically the same thing. They're all fighting the same enemy. They're basically together at this moment, united
There's
in spirit.
a couple paragraphs later. There's a really creepy description of Gollum.
I mean, aren't all descriptions of Gollum really creepy
Yeah,
descriptions of
they're
Gollum?
not all quite created equal.
Fair enough.
A tiny figure sprawling on the ground. There perhaps lay the famished skeleton of some child of men. Its legs and arms almost bone white, bone thin, no flesh worth a peck.
Wonderful.
Oi.
What a great guy. He he probably could pass as a normal human being. No worries
No.
about that. There's a reason he's called a skulking, gangly creature and all sorts of other fitting
Nice thing.
terms to
Yes.
unfortunately label him. I do find it interesting. Back just a couple paragraphs
Oh, sure.
before the mention of where they are in relation to Gandalf. In there's a discussion. There's like a tunnel, and then a little cleft and a path high above the main pass. So the orcs would be looking out the normal path, and then theoretically there's a path really high in the mountains that lets them get by unseen, I believe. Um, it's right before Gollum starts talking about Aragorn, or
Oh, yes.
something like that. And it says that's how Smeagol got out of the darkness, but it was years ago.
Hmm.
And so, is that? I guess we're gonna get a movie about that. When
I guess so, yeah.
the game Gollum was about that, where Gollum escaped through that area. Apparently, I guess he was captured years ago and tortured years ago.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't know how long that was ago. I
It
had the
it
impression.
happened between the birthday party we started Fellowship with and chapter 2.
Okay, so sometime in that 17 years.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I had the impression that it was very very recent, but I guess it's not that recent for him
No.
to be searching. Okay. But that's how Gollum knows, and that's where Frodo brings up the question: are you sure you escaped? Are you sure you weren't sent? Didn't
Yeah.
didn't you tell Aragorn you were sent? And he's like, yeah, kind of, right. I was sent by Sauron to do these things, but not really. And you have that kind of discussion. So there is skepticism on Gollum, not just because he's kind of shifty in person, but because he has a record of potentially working for the evil guy, even though he doesn't mean to, and even though it may be unintentional, kind of.
Yeah.
And so that's something that's raised, and we don't get an answer to it, but it's just kind of left there. Um, After that, you get the mention of where everybody's at, and then there's a little bit of a cool down period. Hooray.
Hmm.
Let's see. There is somewhere on page 281, which is right after the mention of where Gandalf is and how Gandalf could have saved them, but he's not there with them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And Frodo at this point doesn't even know that Gandalf's alive, as well,
Yeah.
because Frodo and Sam have completely missed that plot point. They haven't read the Two Towers, unfortunately.
That's right.
Think about it. How crazy it would be to be in the story and not even have read the story. Are they even dedicated? Can't even tell. But it's right after this. There's even at the end of that paragraph, it says, "This is an evil choice. Which way should he choose? And if both led to terror and death, what good even lay in choice?" Which is kind of true. I feel like that's been a part of Frodo's character for a while now. Is
Hmm.
he never gets the opportunity to make a choice with a clear good and evil answer,
Yeah. Yeah.
because mostly it's just about which direction should I go, which is not a moral judgment. It's just like, well, neither of these is a good option. And so harkens back to his whole debate in Fellowship, which is, how long can I wait before I actually make a decision on which way I'm supposed to go? Back to the Aragorn question and everything like that.
Right.
So, yeah, that. Let's see. Anything else for this chapter? There's one little section at the end, but we're right up near the end of it.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything more.
What about the Oliphant monologue?
It's not a monologue, it's a poem.
Monologue is one person speaking. Gollum is not helping tell the poem. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Okay. But it's more correct to call it a poem because it's a poem.
Fair enough. I'm thinking about the words he said before the poem, which helped to make it more than a poem. It is a monologue.
Well, he says that after the poem.
Notice that when it says he was speaking poetry, it puts it in quotation marks. So maybe it's not really a poem. Maybe he's just kind of, monologuing at him. There is a little poem in here. Have we seen... Sam has not had a song of any sort in the series yet, I don't think.
He has.
Has he? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
He sang that funny song about Tom the Troll.
Oh, yes, okay. That was a while ago.
And he's the one who sang the verses about Gil-galad going into Mordor.
Oh.
Though he just had a part of that.
Yeah. He was he the one who made up he made up a little poem about Gandalf's death as well.
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, this is a very Sam thing to do, is like, we're in a very serious situation. Here's an old children's song about elephants.
Yeah.
Let me explain that to you. Gollum doesn't know what an elephant is. He's never been that far south to their area. But,
yeah, no Olifants. Smeagol has not heard of them. He does not want to see them. He does not want them to be. Oh.
An elephant is faithful 100%, as Dr. Seuss said one time. I think. Horton, a great guy. Yeah, that's it. He just tells a little story about elephants. Frodo says, "Ha, that's funny," and then decides to go with Gollum, and then the chapter ends. That's
Yep.
That's kind of it. I did think. Sorry, what?
Oh, go ahead.
It was odd to me, and maybe it's just me. The second to last paragraph at the very end, Frodo says, "Smeagol, the third turn may be the best. I will come with you," instead of "we will come with you," which is weird. I don't know if there's any significance to that or not. I don't think I can't think of there being any, but Frodo is committing for himself, not for himself and Sam, which is, I guess it's nice. It's just also kind of weird.
Why is it weird?
Well, I know in the movie there's the whole like over dramatized bit about Frodo and Sam having a fight and then splitting
completely
up.
artificially constructed, you mean?
Yeah, it's a little bit whack. No, it's not completely artificial. I can see it, but also added in from what I understand about Return of the King. That the line, "Well, I'm going to come with you," and then like it seems to leave open the idea that Sam doesn't have to come with him, or Sam won't be coming with him, or Frodo is committing to Gollum, and maybe Sam will too, or maybe he won't. And so it seems to leave the door open to that, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen in the book. And so, like, I don't know. I think it just strikes me as weird because I'm overreading it, but
probably,
thought it was
frankly,
worth mentioning.
I think there's two options there, which is, one, what you said, Frodo's just not presuming. Oh, here, we blanked out for a bit.
No, you're good. All your audio came through.
Okay. Oh, sick. Frodo isn't presuming to speak for Sam, perhaps. Or more simply and less interesting, it's just this master-servant dynamic. He's like, "I'm coming." That means Sam's probably coming too.
Yeah. Figured it was just something like that, so that works all right. And of course, Gollum is properly sycophantic, which is, yes, we are great. You are so good. You are so nice. You are so wonderful. It's the Muppet Treasure Island bit where they fawn over Long John Silver.
Oh, yeah.
You are a kind man. You're a wise man. You're beautiful. A great movie.
That is what he's doing. Oh my goodness.
I should own that movie. I don't think I own a copy. That's a travesty.
The Muppets are great.
The old stuff was.
Yeah,
at least. Yeah. I think that's all we have. This may be the shortest episode.
I think it might be.
We're at 39 and a half minutes, so that's not bad at all. We'll see if we can beat that next time, because I feel like I have even less to say on the next chapter.
Really? Okay.
But it's we decided after season 1, where everything was over an hour, we decided not to combine chapters, and I feel like that's better for my
I think
sanity and our reading.
that was a
pace.
good call. That was a good call.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, and we will see you next time when we talk about rabbits.